My daughters were both home from college, and they were living in the same room. Actually, my 3 daughters were living in the same room in my house. And I would like walk in there and say, what are you doing right now? And they would be, whatever they were doing, it wasn't productive enough for dad.
I felt that right there.
Yeah. So that's what they were talking about. Yeah. And that can be unhealthy, right?
Yes,
Just
sir.
like, hey, what are you doing right now? My son used to wrestle and then surf. He's on the wrestling team and the surf team. Yeah. And so he's wrestling and surfing and wrestling and surfing. And so you'd wrestle on Wednesday and then wrestle on Saturday. And, a wrestling tournament on Saturday, you get up at 4 a.m, cut weight, weigh in, and then you drive somewhere, you weigh in there, you're there until 8 o'clock at night. It's a total drag. Mm-hmm. Then the next morning, you got to get up because the surf heat start at 6 o'clock in the morning. So you got to get up, load the van, drive to wherever in Southern California you're competing in surfing. So it's like all day.
Yeah.
2 days in a row. Your weekends are just competition. Yeah. And sitting around uncomfortably. Mm-hmm. And so there was a storm, or I don't know what it was, but the surf contest got canceled. It couldn't have been a storm because he ended up going down to the beach. He went down to the beach. He came back from the beach. I'm like, what have you been doing all day? And, all my family was like, Dad, why don't you leave him alone? So that's what my daughter was talking about. Yeah. Toxic productivity, of which I may and probably am somewhat of a perpetrator of. Thank you. A perpetrator.
Oh, you're a perpetrator.
Confirmed.
You know what I will say though, like even as true as that might be for
what
you,
might be
that you're a perpetrator of it, even how you kind of
just my presence is
it's
perpetrating.
But you know how you you even like throw it on other people, or I don't know if that'd be the correct term, but you're like, what have you been doing all day? Yeah. Even like today, you did it as a joke, like, what are you doing right now? Kind of a thing. Well, early in the morning. It's like, to me, that part becomes toxic, but you do it kind of as a joke. Mm. That's what it really feels like.
Well,
even though you're kind of...
Because let's face it, you're toxically unproductive.
But even no, I think it... when you said it to that story right there, where you're like, what have you been doing all day? Obviously, that's funny. He's been doing a lot. But then if your daughters have it in them to be like, leave him alone or whatever, or like rebel, they know it's like, okay, even if you are serious, you're partly like, I'm not serious.
I'm not a psychotic about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But the underlying can be heavy. I know it was heavy. I know it was heavy with my kids for sure. The underlying weight of what are you doing right now?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Why aren't you doing more?
Bro, when how old's your daughter? The one
22.
Okay, so when she first said toxic productivity, I was like,
you immediately thought of me.
Yeah, I immediately thought of you. Yes, but with a lot of these terms, especially with the one toxic, like it really hits me as the idea that yes, there is such thing as toxic whatever. So we'll say productivity. This toxic productivity, that makes sense. And what does that look like? Okay, does it look like Jocko? Okay, maybe. But you can think of an extreme example, a perfect example of toxic productivity. We can. I used to work for, and I told you this too, where I used to work for a moving company for a summer. Mm-hmm. And they would, they were cool with just you working. They'll pay you overtime, all good. Like the more work you can do, the better. So toxic productivity, where some guys, they'd be like, hey, I just want to work. I just want a bigger paycheck. So they would finish an all-day move, 7:30 a.m. to like 8 at night. Meanwhile, there's other moves going on 24 hours a day. They, if the owner of the house or the occupant of the house is gone, right, you just move all night, right? Pack up, whatever. So these crews, not everybody, but these crews would be like, no, let's go to the next shift or to the next location or whatever and just help them move. right? Because there's always a move going on. So guys would work 2, 3, 4 days in a row with no sleep. But here's the thing. They would take meth. They would smoke meth to stay up.
Yeah.
For real. And look, not everybody. It wasn't a common thing. But there was guys, and you could tell because they'd have like little, like their lips would be burnt or whatever. Yeah. To me, that struck me as toxic productivity as a mover.
That is toxic productivity.
And it wasn't, and look, I don't know anything about the guy's lives or whatever, but if you're just down to work and don't care about your body, your family, your life, your other parts of your life, and you just want the overtime check, bro, that's some solid overtime. You work 2-3 days in a row.
Yeah, let's not do that.
No, that's toxic. But you do run the risk. And this is, when you hear, and let's face it, this is my weakness, my generalization weakness, where when I hear a young college student say stuff like toxic this or toxic that, a small little idea does creep into my head sometimes. Like, oh, you're just applying the toxic term to something that, kind of thing. So if you went that route, it's like, okay, toxic productivity. Okay, so you could be like, someone could look at you and be like, oh, you're so productive. And then with the motivation of just sort of hating on you, they'll be like, oh, that's toxic, because they feel maybe inferior or something like that.
And let's face it, it'd be easy to say, that's just toxic productivity.
That's what I'm saying.
I need to take the weekend off and Monday, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's so exactly right. Where it's like,
just like any other dichotomy, you got to balance this stuff, man.
Yeah. So the toxicity marker, where does that lie on that little spectrum, right? The continuum. I don't think yours is toxic. Well, you might have elements of toxic if you're pissing people off, I think.
Yeah.
Or making them feel like uncomfortable.
Well, no, I think what's good about, I put a lot of it on myself. Like I do this stuff myself.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like I'm like calling you at like, hey, you need to get this done. I'm not doing that.
You sure? Because yesterday.
Other than like the 3 things that you're responsible for, pressing record, showing up here, and number 3, uploading a video to YouTube or whatever. Other than those 3 things, I got it.
Okay.